Before the Industrial Revolution, time was not commanded. It was encountered. It arrived unevenly, attached to light, to seasons, to the condition of tools and bodies. Villages woke when visibility permitted it. Work slowed when weather resisted it. Clocks existed, but they did not rule. Authority could decree taxes, borders, wars, but it could not compel noon to behave the same way everywhere. The contradiction is not that rulers failed to control time. It is that time itself had not yet become controllable. For most of human history, time was a local substance. It bent to geography and labor. A farmer's year was written by frost lines and rainfall. A weaver's day was shaped by eyesight and hand fatigue. Markets gathered when paths allowed travel, not when hours aligned. Even cities, dense and hierarchical, lived inside this looseness. Bells rang, but they coordinated ritual more than production. The measure of a day varied by latitude, by season, by the length of shadow on stone. Time was experienced as a condition of place, not an abstract resource. This began to change not because someone decided it should, but because structures accumulated that made such looseness inefficient. Britain in the 18th century sat atop dense coal seams unusually close to the surface and near navigable waterways. Rivers like the Severn and the Trent shortened the distance between extraction and use. Ports faced the Atlantic, tying domestic production to expanding trade circuits. These were not ideological choices. They were spatial facts. Coal did not merely provide energy, it provided reliability. Unlike wind or water, it burned when commanded. Unlike muscle, it did not tire. But to exploit that reliability, labor itself had to become reliable in return. Early factories did not invent discipline out of preference. They inherited constraints. Machines driven by steam lost value when idle. Capital sunk into iron frames and spinning mules demanded constant motion to justify itself. Irregular attendance no longer meant slower output. It meant stranded investment. When production shifted from dispersed cottages to centralized buildings, time ceased to be personal. It became synchronized. The machine did not adapt to the worker's rhythm. The worker adapted to the machine's continuity. This synchronization produced friction. Traditional measures of time, sunrise, church bells, customary breaks, could not coordinate hundreds of bodies moving in sequence. Mechanical clocks, once decorative or ceremonial, became infrastructural. Their precision was not aesthetic. It was logistical. Factory whistles replaced bells because they cut through noise. Timetables appeared because transport now moved goods farther and faster than local. Intuition could manage. When canals linked cities and railways stitched regions together, misaligned time meant collisions, missed transfers, spoiled cargo. Standardization followed connection, not authority. As production scaled, time hardened. Wages converted hours into currency, abstracting effort into units. The working day acquired edges, start, end, overtime. Not because morality demanded them, but because accounting required them. Employers needed comparable inputs. Workers needed predictable income. Contracts needed enforcement. Time, once descriptive, became prescriptive. It told bodies where to be and when, not as an expression of dominance, but as a solution to coordination under pressure. The transformation did not remain inside factories. Urbanization compressed populations into spaces where shared schedules reduced chaos. Gaslighting extended usable hours, making darkness negotiable. Newspapers synchronized attention across cities, then nations, by appearing at the same time each day. Financial markets required opening and closing bells to concentrate liquidity. Even leisure reorganized itself around fixed intervals. The weekend emerged not from custom alone, but from the need to pause systems simultaneously without breaking them. This new time was not faster by nature, it was denser. More actions occupied each unit, more dependencies nested within each hour. Delay in one node propagated outward. Missing a shift did not only affect output, it disrupted sequences upstream and downstream. Time became brittle. Its value lay in predictability, and predictability demanded conformity. The cost of deviation increased not because deviation was immoral, but because interconnected systems amplify variance into loss. As networks expanded beyond cities into empires of trade, time required further compression. Maritime commerce depended on accurate longitude, which depended on precise chronometers. Navigation errors meant wreckage. Insurance losses delayed goods. Scientific advances in timekeeping were funded not by curiosity alone, but by mercantile necessity. Railways intensified this pressure. Local times differed by minutes between towns, tolerable when travel took days, disastrous when it took hours. Railway timetables forced standard time zones into existence. Noon became the same everywhere, not because people agreed, but because trains could not wait. The internal logic of these systems rewarded punctuality without reference to character. A late arrival stalled a process regardless of intention. Time discipline seeped into education, military logistics, bureaucratic administration, not as a cultural preference, but as an imported requirement. Schools trained future workers to sit for fixed periods. Armies drilled synchronized movement to supply chains. Offices ran on schedules because files moved through queues. Everywhere time's authority grew, yet it had no face. This authority carried a paradox. As time became measurable and scarce, it also became alien. People spoke of saving or wasting it, metaphors borrowed from economics. Days felt shorter not because the sun moved faster, but because obligations multiplied within them. The clock did not accelerate life. It exposed how crowded life had become. Industrial time did not erase older rhythms entirely, but it subordinated them. Seasons still mattered to agriculture, but markets priced futures months ahead. Biological fatigue persisted, but shifts ignored it. Time was no longer negotiated with the body. It was enforced by system continuity. Eventually, this produced resistance, but resistance followed structure. Shorter workdays emerged when fatigue reduced output, when accidents became costly, when turnover disrupted training. Labor laws codified limits that systems themselves struggled to manage informally. Even rest was systematized. Holidays aligned nationally to prevent partial shutdowns. Vacations were scheduled so absence could be absorbed. Time off became another regulated interval, not a return to timelessness. At a certain point, the question ceased to be who controlled time and became whether time itself had become the controlling environment. When daily life is segmented into slots optimized for throughput, what remains of duration as lived experience? If clocks exist to synchronize machines, and humans must synchronize to survive within those machines, where does perception end and compliance begin? The Industrial Revolution did not steal time from humanity. It redefined what time was allowed to be. It compressed variability into margins, smoothed difference into averages, and rewarded alignment over autonomy. What had once been a medium of experience became an input to be managed. Even as technologies later promised flexibility, electricity, digital communication, the underlying structure remained. Continuous availability replaced continuous motion, but the demand for synchronization persisted, quieter, more pervasive. And so the echo lingers, not in the roar of engines, but in calendars filled weeks ahead, in notifications timed to minutes, in the subtle anxiety of being out of sync. If time was once shaped by land and labor, and then reshaped by machines and markets, the unresolved pressure remains whether any system that depends on synchronization can ever return time to those who live inside it, or whether human life will continue to adjust itself to the cadence of structures it did not choose. If this reflection resonated with you, you can find more explorations like this on Timeless Questions, where history, power, and human nature quietly intersect.